Hey Poptropicans, it's Captain Crawfish. It's been far too long. Today I'm going to help you play through Virus Hunter Island. It's one of the most difficult islands we've ever put out on Poptropica, and I know that a lot of you have had trouble finishing it. That changes today. I'm going to show you, step by step, how you can complete Virus Hunter Island. Let's get started. Here we are. A mysterious van drives past. I don't know about you, but I'd like to know what that strange van is up to. So the first thing we're going to do is head to the right and see what's up. When we get there, the van takes off going the other way, but it appears to have dropped off a passenger who's going into the video store. And for those of you who don't know, it used to be that you had to go to a store to get a movie to watch, not just pull it down on your iPad or on your computer. Maybe this is a little out of date, but it's funny anyway. This video store clerk here is wary of me. He's not giving me any information. And I also don't see the scientist who got out of the van. If I try to go through that back door, no dice. I'll have to find another way in. Another building on this street is this gym, which I am allowed to go into, probably for the first time in my life. There's a few things you can do here just for fun, but what we want to do in particular is find this resistance band. When you click on it, it breaks. You better believe you get in trouble when it breaks, but the good news is you get a free broken resistance band. And who doesn't want a free broken resistance band? We'll head back out of this gym, head to the left. I'll jump ahead a little bit here. And to the left of where we came in, we can jump on top of the bus stop onto this bird's nest, which fortunately is empty, and there is a lone hook. Here I will use the half of the resistance band that I have. By using it, I'll automatically be able to create a rope that I can climb to get up to the roof. And who do we meet up here but some kind of paranoid anti-government type? He thinks that mysterious van is from the government, but nobody believes him. I'll have a conversation with him and he'll tell me we should try to find out the truth of what's going on in this town. I agree with him. By having this conversation, he'll tell us that the van is now parked behind a condominium building to the left. Only by having this conversation will that van appear there, so let's head there now. Go past the building, up over the dumpster. It wouldn't be Poptropica without a pile of garbage. And talk to the guy in the van. He claims that he's delivering pizza. Seems a little bit suspicious to me. And by mentioning that, he'll peel out. When he does, out comes this pile of shredded documents. We're going to pick that up and we're going to take it back to the guy who was on the roof. Once we come back up to where he is, just use the item from your inventory. And he'll suggest that although these documents have been through the shredder, we can take a look at them and assemble them in the fashion of a puzzle. There are actually 3 different documents that have been shredded here. You can assemble all of them if you'd like. The one we really want, though, is the light blue one that has the PDC logo up in the upper left. It's as simple as matching up all of the letters and all of the shapes until you have the document in order. The placement can be a little tricky. You might have to move it back and forth a little bit, kind of wiggle it back and forth in order to get the pieces to snap into place, but you can do it. As you can start to see, it looks as though we are looking at the blueprints for a secret laboratory. This guy will tell us that he thinks he can get us inside now that he knows that Poptropica Disease Control is who is behind all this mysteriousness. He gives me a PDC badge, and now we'll go back to that video store. And this time we'll see if showing the badge to this guy is going to get us where we want to go. And what do you know? It does. And now he'll show us into that staff-only section. We'll just follow him. Once you get back there, you'll see this elevator in the private section of the video store where something much more mysterious appears to be going on down below the surface. So we'll talk to each of the characters who are down here. The first two scientists don't have a ton to say, but it'll tell us a little bit more of the story. The person that we really want to talk to is this woman back here, Dr. Lang. She is going to tell us what the true stakes are of the story that's going on here, and exactly why that mysterious man has been driving all around. And with a little blackmail, she gets me to volunteer to try to help her. She'll pull up a short video that will show the existence of this frightening disease. And I'll let you watch the video and then get back with you in a minute. Alright, so assuming you're not cowering in fear under your desk or table right now, we have a job to do. We have to find the guy who is carrying this disease in his bloodstream and doesn't know it. So we get a little bit of information here from Dr. Lang. When we look at it, we'll see a few key facts about the person that we're looking for. We're also given a camera to take this person's picture when we find him or her. Let's take a quick look at the dossier. We know it's a male, he's in his 30s, he has dark hair, he works at a company called Globochem, which you may have seen earlier, and he recently traveled abroad. Now we're going to explore the island and look for somebody who fits all of the key facts that we just learned. Remember earlier we ran past this building, but since it's the only residence around, this time we'll go in it, and we'll take a look at the recycling bin next to the mailboxes. This is a Poptropica classic right here, looking through somebody's trash. We find this Joe Stockman fellow recently went abroad. He also has some kind of correspondence from Globochem. So he lives in apartment 3, and he seems like a pretty good bet. We'll go ahead and knock on Joe Stockman's door. Nothing from Joe Stockman, but since he works at Globochem, we can go to the office and see if we can catch him there. The office is on Main Street. It's actually under where we talked to the guy with the ham radio. However, I don't know if you've ever been to an office building, maybe one of your parents or somebody you know works in one. They don't tend to let you in unless you have a badge. I don't have a badge. I don't have any other way in. It says no piggybacking, which means you're not allowed to walk in behind somebody who's just opened the door. But that gives me an idea. Why don't we try piggybacking? Here at the falafel stand, if I talk to this guy at this moment, and only at this moment, he says he's bringing a big lunch order to Globochem. Now I know he doesn't work there, so I know he won't really be that concerned if I follow him in. So I'll just walk in after him, and as soon as they open the door for him, I will sneak in right behind him. And by the way, in no way is this encouraging you to sneak into Poptropica headquarters. I'm going to look around at all of the people who work at Globochem, see if any of them fit the bill. That first guy didn't have dark hair. This is a woman. This guy maybe looks a little too old. He's got gray hair, and I know that I'm looking for somebody with dark hair. Once again, this is a girl or a woman rather than a male. This guy might be right. Guess not. The furthest one from the door. Looks a lot like the person that I probably want to find. So I'm going to open up my inventory and I'll use the camera to take his picture. With the photo in hand, I'll head straight back to the secret lab underneath the video store, and I will give the photo to Dr. Lang. Alright, we have figured out who is carrying the disease. And now that we know, we can try to make a cure for it with his bloodstream. We can't go tell him that he's sick, he might panic. So instead, we're going to do something much more elaborate. And at this point, we're going to go into the back room and discover something pretty wild. When you need to fight a virus, what better way to do it is there than to get into a microscopic-sized ship and fly around somebody's bloodstream shooting at the germs? We may not yet know as the player that that's about to happen, but here we go. This is where the second half of the island and one of the wildest things we've ever really done on Poptropica is going to begin. Alright, we are now teeny tiny, and this brings us to a little tutorial sequence where we will learn how to pilot the ship. So, you click to steer the ship, that's easy enough, and then with the cursor, when you click on the ship itself, you'll see different weapons that you can select also by clicking on them. So this one is the laser scalpel, it's this red glowing knife. You can use this to cut through blockages that look like what you see there. It also works as a weapon, as you'll see later on. The next thing, when you click on the ship, you'll see what looks kind of like a light bulb on the right. That's called the electro bolt. And then you use the space bar to fire it. And when you do it against these little neurons or receptors, whatever they may be, it'll activate something elsewhere. It'll open up doors, it'll move things out of the way for you. Then the thing that appears on the left is a coagulant. It's that green goo. When you shoot it at a cut, it will seal the cut and it will stop things from coming out of it. That'll obviously come in handy again later. The last thing here is your ship has this engine that will allow you to go through difficult to navigate places. Your ship can shoot, again, with none of the other things selected. You press the spacebar and this little dinky thing comes out. But when you pick up these yellow glowing orbs that come out, the weapon will actually get stronger. That'll go up a few different levels, so the more you do that, the stronger you'll get and the better you'll be at shooting the viruses. Alright, so at this point you know the basics of how to use the ship. You know you've got several cool tools and weapons, you've got a powerful engine, and you are an ace pilot. All you need to do is find a way into Joe's bloodstream, and the scientists are going to take care of that for you by smuggling you into his apartment inside a container of Chinese food. So I'm not sure that this is all 100% accurate, but I don't know if anybody's checking. It works for me. Down the hatch we go. We arrive here in Joe's stomach. Again, we can fly around his stomach a little bit. A lot of the places we're going to need to go aren't yet open to us. And here's all the lo mein falling into his stomach, which is, I would say, not gross at all. The first thing we're going to do is try to figure out a way to get into Joe's bloodstream. You can see there's a few things that you probably recognize from the tutorial. There's those little viruses coming after me. I can shoot them and they'll occasionally cast off those glowing orbs that'll allow me to become more powerful. There's also, you may have seen a little coagulant thing there. When I click to escape, or to exit the room I should say, I can click on Joe's hand there in that map. Right now that's the only place that I can click to. I show up here in his hand, and it's a little maze that I'm going to explore. I'm looking to go as far as I can into one of his fingers. So far, nothing really of note. What I'll find when I finally get to the right place, which I still am not at, is a splinter that Joe has gotten in his finger. I think we're about to come upon it. You see, the splinter is being attacked by white blood cells because that's what white blood cells do when a foreign body is introduced. Foreign bodies such as a tiny spaceship. Now, I'm being attacked by the white blood cells, and even worse, they're carrying away all of the upgrades that my ship had. My coagulant, my electro bolt, my laser scalpel, and my engine are all being taken away. What I'm left with is a very weak engine, very weak shield, and my normal blaster. And that's it. So before I can do anything else, and before I can fight the virus, I have to go find all of these things that I just lost, or else I am never going to make it. So, heading back to the way I came in, once again I'm going to click to exit this scene, and when I do that, it'll bring me that map of Joe's body. Now I can click on a lot of different body parts and travel there, although most of them I can't do much in yet without those upgrades. So I'm going to take you through the quickest path to get through here. Now that I'm back in his stomach, he's drinking this acidic soda, and without my more powerful shield, I can't go into the soda. I'll start to get damaged. So I'm going to steer clear of that. The first place that I need to go is up into Joe's mouth. The way to get there is up in this corner. It's blocked off, but whenever he takes a sip of soda, that door is going to open, and that's going to allow me to fly up and into his throat. Once I'm in his throat, I can't fly anymore. It's too narrowly constricted. So I will get out of the ship and proceed on foot, which is kind of gross, but pretty fun too. There are no stable platforms. The way to get to the top is to ride these carbonation bubbles that are on their way up and out of Joe's throat. But as you stand on one, it slows down, so the fastest way is to jump between them, and eventually you'll reach Joe's mouth. Then run and jump along the side through his teeth. Fortunately, they're not grinding you. And here in his gold tooth up at the front is one of the missing items. It's the shield. Once we've got that, we'll head back down to the ship. It's a little easier to get down than it was to get up. And going in the ship with that shield, now we can go into those hazardous environments. So even though I didn't do it before, if I had flown into that soda at the bottom of Joe's stomach, my ship would have gotten damaged and probably destroyed. Now that I have the shield back, I'm able to fly in there safely. And I will do that just as soon as I stop getting all these notifications about my ship. What? Alright, so head down into the grape soda to the bottom left. And this works the same way as getting up into the throat did. This sort of blocked passageway down into his intestines will open periodically. And when it does, you can just fly straight through. Now we're in Joe's intestines. You'll see the dripping, I guess, bile that can damage you, so you should avoid that. And shoot these obstructions in order to get through. I think this probably is making Joe feel a lot better up there in the real world. It's kind of a twisting passageway, and we'll just continue along the route, shooting all the obstructions, and occasionally get attacked by these little viruses, but no big deal. When you see them, shoot them. If you're lucky, they'll drop you some of those glowing orbs, and you can power up your blaster as you go through. But for the most part, it's impossible to do this wrong. You can't get lost. You just need to keep going and keep shooting your way through. I've skipped ahead a little bit. I've just cleared the last obstruction, and now I'm going to exit down into the lower intestine. This, at first blush, looks very, very similar, and it basically is. But as I head over to the right, something new is going to happen. A big virus that I've never seen before attacks, and I have no way out. So it looks like we're about to have ourselves a good old-fashioned boss fight. This may look more complicated than it is. You'll see these tentacles come out from either the top or the bottom of the scene, so it's a good idea to stay somewhat in the middle. Obviously, I didn't do it there. And fly back and forth a little bit. Once it stops moving, that means it's about to shoot into the middle of the scene. You can't damage that big virus directly. You can only damage it by shooting the little blob that's on the arm that extends. So all you want to do is dodge the arm and then shoot the little blob until the main virus turns red and disappears. It's not too hard. And once you do that, look what you get back. Your laser scalpel. Now that you have that back, you can exit this scene to the right by equipping the laser scalpel, the way you learned to do earlier, cut through that, And now we'll get back to the map of Joe's bloodstream. We can make it a little further into Joe's body now that we have one of our upgrades back. The next place to go is into the heart, because these blockages occur right at the beginning. So if you had come to the heart before, nothing bad would have happened. But you wouldn't have been able to get to this, which actually is kind of bad. It's another boss fight. This version of the virus has mutated a little bit, and it has these sort of 3 tentacles that it shoots out at you. You want to wait until there's space to move in through the tentacles, then just equip your laser scalpel and swing it back and forth across the main body of the virus. And watch out when he moves away, because that tail can hit you on the other side. There are a few different encounters with this virus. It's the same every time. Wait until you have that path in, then hit him a few times with the scalpel, and at some point he will turn around and fly away. You see, there he hits me with the tail. That's okay. If you start taking a little too much damage, you can shoot those little red blood cells that float by, and occasionally they'll drop those orbs as well. The yellow orbs make your blaster stronger, but if you're low on shield, they may also drop blue orbs. When you pick up a blue orb, your shield will refill. So anytime you find that you're getting a little close to losing this battle, just hang back and look for some of those red blood cells, and you should be able to recharge your shield. You see, I'm looking around for a few right now. Not having a ton of luck. I'm just going to keep going. By now you've probably figured out how this all works. It's a little trickier here because I have to get through this blockage before I can reach... That's alright. I think I can do this. This is the last... Blue... Oh, you see it gets a little tricky. I got him. This time, at least, he retracts all of his arms, and now he's gone. And I'm going to get my coagulant back. So overall, way to go, Captain Crawfish. We're making some real progress now. I could continue up through the heart here, but at this point there's not much I'd really be able to do. So instead, I will go back the other way and head back out to the map of Joe's body. The heart, by the way, is a little bit of a weird scene because it kind of has a figure 8. It loops around itself, which is, I think, a cool effect, but in case that confuses you as to where you are, just keep referencing the video. I'll fill up my shield somewhere else. Head back into the bloodstream. And with the coagulant, I'm going to go into Joe's upper arm. You could still go back to his hand, but there's nothing left there, so there's no real reason to. This is a scene you weren't able to go to before. Here we see Joe's at the gym working out. I think he's trying to impress the person on the treadmill. As Joe works out, his muscles are kind of contracting and making it very dangerous for me to be flying around in there. This is a pretty tricky scene to get through. You want to keep your coagulant equipped and shoot those cuts anywhere you see them, because the flow of blood out of them will push your ship back and not let you get through. I'm obviously not doing a great job of it here, but essentially what you want to do is wait for the muscles to recede and then dart by them. There are a couple of safe places where you can stop, like this one, and then you can shoot those red blood cells and fill up your shield if you need to. Again, just keep using the coagulant, pick your spots, just go carefully, and once you do decide to go, get right through the dangerous spots, and you should be through this without much trouble. This is one of the hardest parts of the entire island, so if you get through here, you should be able to hack anything that comes up afterward. That's the end of it. We'll head into the next scene, which takes us through a kind of narrow passageway and opens into a larger chamber. And poor Joe probably should have warmed up or stretched. He's got a cramp here. The cramp, as you see, causes this reaction, trapping me in here just as these viruses attack. This is a bit of a tricky boss battle if you don't know exactly what you're doing, because it can get out of hand quickly. The viruses emerge from these two different spots, and they will go toward those cuts in Joe's arm. You can seal the cuts with coagulant, and that'll help keep Joe safe. But once you get started doing that, it's actually a lot harder to destroy the spots that are spawning the viruses. So your best bet is to attack them right away as soon as it starts. Destroy one of them, and keep the viruses from getting past you at all. Now, having taken out the first one, all I need to do is park it right here and just destroy this other one. It's very easy, but only if you get it started this way. Otherwise, you could be in for a tough time. As before, upon defeating the boss virus, one of my upgrades reappears, so I'll go collect it. This is the Electro Bolt. This is the one that you use on those blue glowing receptors that will open up some pathways for you. First place to do it is to get back out of here. We cure Joe's cramp. You're welcome, Joe. Next time, maybe wear a t-shirt and not a bowling shirt to the gym. And we'll head back through this arm. Much easier this time. The muscles have stopped moving because Joe is done working out. So this time I just have to pilot through. You can actually still get hurt if you fly into those hazards, as I just wanted to show you. I didn't do that because I'm bad at the game. I did it to show you, I swear. We'll head back to Joe's bloodstream. Just trying to fill up my shield. They're not dropping any of those blue orbs, but I'll be okay. I'll keep going. The next place that we want to head to is Joe's brain. And again, you can't really get into his brain very far without the Electro Bolt, so you could have come this far before, but there would have been no point. Now that you have the Electro Bolt, you can go ahead, activate it, and enter Joe's brain. And we've got another boss battle. There are two main components of this boss battle. The first is that the boss will occasionally spawn these waves of the tiny viruses. They move in a straight line, so all you need to do is equip your main blaster and sit still and just shoot until all 4 of them gone. They always come in groups of 4, and they'll drop power-ups that might help you or recharge your shield. The trickier part is using the Electro Bolt to connect these synapses and make a complete circuit all the way to wherever the boss is perched. Every time you do that, you'll damage him, and you need to do it a handful of times. So again, the way it works is equip your Electro Bolt and fire it when you're near the rounded end of, I'm saying synapse, maybe it's a neuron, I'm not sure. When you fire it, you'll grab that end, and then as you fly around, it will follow you, and it will detach automatically when you connect it to one of these more ganglion-looking ends. There are multiple solutions to connecting this circuit every time the brain virus moves. There's not just one way to do it each time. The trick that I use, especially as the virus starts to move further and further, is to start where the virus is and then try to work backwards to create it. I'm not doing it quite yet, but I will start to as he moves along. So again, what I'm showing you here is one possible solution of many. There's really a lot of different ways that you can do it. Having gotten the gist of it at this point, I'll just go ahead and finish all of this. I need to hit him a couple of more times, and I don't think you really need to hear me yammering over it, so let's just watch and enjoy. Alright, we are back. That's the end of the brain virus. And now I get back my very last upgrade. This is that turbo engine. This is going to allow me to navigate windy environments, which you may or may not have guessed is going to be in Joe's lungs. I also thought you might enjoy a really wretched background noise. No idea what that's about. We will head back to the bloodstream. You can't get to Joe's lungs directly. We have to go to the heart first. You may remember that from the end of the heart battle. But I'll show you again quickly how to get there. And this time when we come back to the heart, these muscles have blocked the way, so we'll need to equip the electro bolt once again and just zap those receptors in order to open up the path. It's again not hard, there's not a puzzle here, it's just something you gotta do to get through. So again, we'll take that kind of figure 8 path, head all the way through. This was as far as we went the last time. Now we will be able to exit into the lungs. If we had done that before without the engine upgrade, we wouldn't have been able to get into the lungs. And now we can, which is good because it's going to be the final battle against this terrible virus. Here's Joe waiting for the bus. He inhales a lung full of smog, which gives us kind of a creepy environment for our final battle. This is the biggest and scariest looking virus we've seen so far, although it's not actually the hardest fight out of all of them. The way to beat this boss is to blast off its arms one at a time. Essentially what you need to do is stay far enough away that when it whirls around it won't hit you, so you need to position yourself a little bit and just keep shooting. You see I've already blasted one of its arms off. This boss also spawns an awful lot of the regular little viruses, which is helpful because if you haven't powered up your blaster, you can do it over the course of this boss fight. And similarly, if your shield gets damaged, you can probably recharge it pretty easily. You can see how fast and how large my blaster shots are now, so this is going to be not too hard. I just need to follow him around, keep blasting one of his arms each time until it comes off. See, already halfway done. I'll keep following him around, and as with the brain boss, I don't think there's much I can add to this point, other than sitting back and basking in the glory. We're down to the very last encounter. He's got one more limb to shoot off, and when he does, you get this big dramatic finale. There he goes. Now we've defeated and gotten samples from every form of the virus. All we need to do is find some way out of Joe's body. We may not be able to find a way, but he's going to take care of it for us with a good old-fashioned sneeze. And that is the end of Virus Hunter. If you played this far, then congratulations. You have beaten one of the truly toughest islands on Poptropica, right up there with Astronight's Island. There's a little more story that's going to happen here, so I'll again let you check that out without me ruining it by talking all over it. Once again, a hero suffers in anonymity, but at least the world is safe. I've got the island medallion for Virus Hunter. Thank you very much for watching this video. Very happy to be back with you. We'll be doing a few more of these as we feature more islands throughout the fall this year. So to play Virus Hunter Island yourself, head on over to poptropica.com right now. It's free and it is awesome.